Was it a good day detecting? Yeah, I think so. Let me go through this a little bit and clean stuff up, and I'll get right back to you. So here is our incredible cleanup. Take two, actually, because I did this once already, and then I'm having such issues figuring out memory storage and loading with YouTube and my new stuff that we're doing a second try here because I had to erase all that. So unfortunately I've thrown away all the garbage and the modern coins and stuff. I can show you all of the things that will be being stored in this box with the location details and stuff scratched into it and curated away. And by the time you've seen this, I've already gone back. So this is one of the first things that let me know we were on to not only a house site, but a house that had personals, human things in it, because there are so many zippers found. Buttons, rivets, and the sort that go with clothing. These are some of the other details, flat older window glass, blues, typical more vintage stuff. This is a little button. Everything in this you could see was melted. You saw a lot of these finds, well, all of these finds basically. This is what this ended up saying. I still don't know what it is. You can see it's basically a double-sided thing, but June 2/14. It looks like numbers and degrees. And then J.W. Yates, New York. That's the detailing on that. Little hinges. These were shards that we collected. You see the patterning on each one of those. This is a fork. We found both pieces. I think it actually curled from the heat, and it was a plate silver. Along with that, a melted looking butter knife blade, a long spoon. I could not find any more markings on this, any markings of any sort, so I do not know the type of metal, but it is one solid metal. It's very long and dainty. 6 wheat pennies, 2 marbles. Look at those are beautiful green glass, a blue, and then a little melted green bead. This, I don't know what it is, whether it's the pull starter for a choke or a metal backed big old flat, some sort of button, not sure. This came out horrible at first, or it started off horrible and then ended up in really great condition. I'm not sure the metal showing through is what it is. All of these have a horrible layer of rust and muck, and just they can come out all different colors and then reveal what they are inside. But some sort of yellowish heavier metal, probably a brass, but that was a little wristwatch. Got our Merc, beautiful, and you can see that things go black in this lake. Silver goes black, but that wiped right up. And got another Merc, so wow, really good with all this. Let's see, these ended up being probably brass is what they're looking like, but maybe picture frame edges, and you can see the ornamentation on there. They are very ornate. Yeah, and I think a lot of them melted. This is the same pattern on this one. You can see where I flexed it a little, the yellow of the metal, how beautiful that was. So you can picture a yellow, brassy color like that with those patterns going on. And then this one has a different pattern on it, so obviously a different frame. See the two patterns side by side. Valve stem, Schrader, made in the USA. Patent office. Key, metal garbage. This is a fuse. It's also registered at the patent office, Chicago, USA. Clear sight says 2 harmonica reeds. And then let's check out the stars of the show. It's really hard to say, you know, what's the coolest find when you're talking that level of finds, but well, let me show you the second half of this fork. This was actually 2 pieces that we found separate, and you can see it was plated at one point, and you can see the little plant pattern on there. Make sure I get that detail in there. This started off looking just rough, and this is it restored. I have it in 3 pieces here so I can show you the layers. And very thin stuff. I haven't done the back as well, but it is, you know, a long ways along. You would not believe the hours of toothpicking and polishing and brushing, but underneath is a fine shiny silver, it looks like, just polishing up beautifully. And you can see the rope work and the floral patterns and the whole thing. Some of it melted away, rusted away. It's just unrecoverable. This is basically as good as the front will get, but you can get a real sense of idea of the shine and the beauty of the whole thing. And then, believe it or not, this sat welded in 2 spots directly over the center of it. You can see just the patterning, and that is intense. And that sat right in the middle there. And then this little grape cluster with its leaves and stuff, also a little stamp out, went right on the side here. And again, the before and after on this is crazy. They basically went like that and hovered just over the other one and made for an insane little show of layers of beauty there. So really cool to get that, to be able to clean it up, restore it, save it, not let it deteriorate any further. And that's the thing with water finds, is you really want to do a good job at taking care of them, and not just, you know, with all things, of course, but the water stuff, if you don't jump on it and you don't start taking care of stuff, it's like any project, it can really deteriorate on you. Got a couple more personables. These look a little bit older. Some sort of, this may have been a silver button with metal backing, or some other sort of alloy. Another, I think this was a button, I'm not sure, or some other thing. It only had one thin metal spike coming off of it when I found it. Not really 100% on that, but it's ornate and heavier. And these are the buckles, found separately from each other. Both ended up cleaning up and having little tongs that work. This one's even better shape. You can see, I believe that they're a silver gone black. Again, these were heavily, not corroded, but concreted. They had everything here had the same weird crust on it. Doesn't matter what type of metal. I believe these were fastened in one spot. Both of them have this little dot on it, and then the strap would go through that and back down. So they're a matching set of some things. Beautiful though, right? I mean, just fine, old, good craftsmanship. So you haven't quite got that off there yet, but we're getting there. Yeah, just wow. Cool. This had no idea that it was actually a brass buckle under here. I'm assuming it's brass because I assume everything's brass until I test it for gold, but the base metal ends up being yellow. And the patterning on it, steerhead, ropes, stars, 6-shooters, cowboy boots, old style hat. That's somebody's brass belt buckle there. And again, the condition that this came out of the ground and the condition that it cleaned up to, you'd never guess from what looked like a rusty piece of iron that there was a solid brass buckle underneath. And this would also look like a rusty piece of steel as you saw it come out if you watched the video. The last 2 videos that I've released were this hunt, so this is the cleanup for that. The links will be below in the description if you want to see these things come out. They did not come out looking like this. This is what it's cleaned up to, and it's just insane. So that leads us to the garbage. These are little drips of metal, whether they were pipes in the house, copper pipes, anything. You know, if you look on your average keychain, there's so many different metals just in one keychain, and none of them necessarily a pure brass or a pure steel. You know, they're all mixes. So when things melt, you end up with a lot of that. These yellow metals here, I don't think are gold nuggets because it doesn't have the weight of a gold nugget. You know, melted down brass is most likely what they are. That's where I filed it a little bit just to check the metal. The rest of these are more silver toned gobs. Throughout all the aluminum, all the lead, all that already. These are just heavy, hard, unidentified pieces of silver colored metal. And I know that looks white, but I'm telling you it's not lead. Everything's concreted in a weird way, you know, and changes the colors on stuff. But you see, here's an example of this is probably a pipe and it melted, so there's the last cup of the pipe that's left, or maybe a spoon. I'm thinking it's a pipe though, so there's the upper wall that collapsed down on it, and that's not actually a rock there. That's the pipe from above melting down it and forming a gob. So that's a gob of yellow stuff on its way to forming those more finished, all the way molten down. I believe this was a spoon that went through the same process. And that's just the bottom of the spoon that didn't melt into a gob. Things like this are the same. You see the bubble marks of extreme heat, and I'm not sure if it poured onto something which took the mold or if that's the remnants of the original. But just whoa. So all of these will be left with all this curated in the box. This is a piece of metal I'm suspecting might be a silver of the degree of coins because of the color and the way it acted. It came out black and wiped in the same way that this does. It has the weight of silver. It's not a lead, very hard. You can see just in the pouring the evidence that it's not lead because it's held all of its little sharp edges and stuff. Pretty much 90% that's a gob of melted silver. It could have just been 1 spoon or 4 dimes. You know, that's what they look like after a purse burns. So I've been on other house sites, other burns. These coins have all been burnt. They have this look that I recognize, and I've actually been places where things have been burnt and in water before, so I recognize a lot of that. So I believe this is a chunk of melted silver, the whole deal, which leads us to these. Once again, look at this whole thing. So sorry for babbling your ear off, but I feel like I have to do a cleanup video to this extent on this because, I mean, this is without even looking any of these items up and telling you exact details on them. So these two gobs, if you watch the videos, were found separate from each other, but also wiped from black to instant shiny. However, they are heavier than the silver, any silver I've run into, and harder. I don't know if we're dealing with a white gold or a super pure sterling, but you hold these next to all these other, let me set these here again and pan back. I mean, okay, platinum level. That's a guess of mine, just because my brain goes, you know, more pure, harder, heavier. This is as heavy as gold. It's crazy. So the next thing that I noticed is that these are actually patterned pieces, and that they actually go together. See the little floral swirl on this one that goes this way? Let me grab a finer pointer. So if you look here, this one has this little floral pattern swirl that comes around. This one also has it, just less melted. You can see the little dot and the little twist of it. Try and get different angles. The viewfinder on these cameras is not the best, but I think you can smell what I'm stepping in there. Those are definite likenesses of each other. And then off of each one of those little swirls, I noticed that there was an opposing one that came around. See the little whirl right there at the tip of it? And you'll notice that in this one here also. It's just more melted away, and you can only see it in certain light, but it's there. When I set them together, you'll be able to make it out easier. This one coming in, this one coming in, and that one going out, that one going out. There's also the matter of the little tanges that come off of it, where it gets really thin right here and right here, and right here and here, and I'm thinking whatever they were had some little ornate thing that went between there that's melted away. This also had one that went basically from right there to right there. That may have been a separate little spot with a gap in between, and I think that it might have been joined. I'm just not sure. So there's the overall shape of them. That's basically molten. You can see whatever metal the metal is from the heat it took on this real distinct weird patterning. I'm not sure if that's because it was in cloth. Was one of my theories, that it actually picked up a casting of whatever it was being housed in. Remember, this was found next to this, and next to these, and next to this, and you know, so some sort of little ornate thing. I hope that I'm showing you that. I hope that the brightness of it stands out. I wish you could feel the weight. Just brighter than gold or silver, only sterling or platinum or something. And then to identify that they were both, I thought they were just gobs. And then I realized that these gobs, one of them had a pattern. I realized the other one had a pattern. I realized that we were looking at something that was connected somehow. So, yeah, crazy. And then the noise. So you can hear the hardness and the purity. They just wipe so much cleaner than the other silvers, and they're just so bright. Those are so bright. Let me pull over into the shade here. So bright. Let me pull this whole thing into the shade. Set them back down. Pan out. Look how bright that metal is. Those aren't white pieces of metal. Those are silver, heavy pieces. So, yeah, there are your details. There's another hunt coming up. Bear with me. My release times on videos right now are horrible. I am isolated from the rest of the detailers who are stuck in another town, just trying to deal with everything that's going on in the country, the world, and California, and then their personal lives. So I myself doing little solo trips, staying real close to home, trying to get you out some entertainment whenever I can, and yeah, continuing on with the quest. But this will be edited on generator power and then loaded to you in the parking lot of a library, so please take care of yourselves out there. Take care of each other whenever you get the chance. Remember that the adventures that you choose and the quests that you go on and the things that you love and inspire you and feed you daily are what is keeping you alive, and you gotta thrive to survive. So find those things, seek your daily divinities, quest on, and I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me.